Hey guys, Toastmonster here, and this video is going to be about the first 3 talent tiers of Warlock for level 90. Now while I talk about these, I'm just going to have some clips on in the background, so it's not kind of a black screen, and hopefully it'll be a bit more interesting. Now in the first tier you have a choice between Dark Regeneration, Soul Leech, and Harvest Life. In my opinion, Dark Regeneration is the best tier because it's the only one that's actually on a cooldown, and means it's more effective in burst situations, which especially with comps like KFC at the moment is definitely more important than talents such as Soul Leech, which means that your Haunt and your pet actually heal you over time for small amounts. But again, when you need burst healing, those small amounts aren't really going to help a lot, and they're going to do a lot of overhealing and be wasted a lot of the time. So I don't really think Soul Leech is very good. And in terms of Harvest Life, it would have been good if Drain Life was the filler Warlocks use in their rotation now, but with the introduction of Malefic Grasp, it's kind of a wasted talent, and as such, I honestly think Dark Regeneration is going to be the best, especially when your healer gets put into a full trap or a fear, for instance, and you can just use that and use your health stone, and it means any hots you have also tick for 25% more, and your health stone is actually going to heal you a considerable amount there, much more percentage wise than Soulburn Health Stone ever did. That being said, I don't really think Soul Leech is the worst talent in the world. It's just with the meta game at the moment and how bursty most comps are, I honestly think Dark Regeneration is going to be better for those emergency situations, and it really does improve the survivability of Warlocks, because along with Unending Resolve and the talents from the Dark Bargain or Soul Link or Sacrificial Pact Tree, it really does just boost the survivability huge amounts. Now the next tree I definitely think is one of the most interesting trees, and you have Howl of Terror, Mortal Coil, or Shadow Fury. Mortal Coil is the old Death Coil on a 45-second cooldown, but it also restores 15% of your health. Now, for most of the comps I run, which tends to be WLD or MLD or something like that, I actually run with Howl of Terror because I also play with Blood Fear, so it just allows me an extra fear. And something such as Shadow Fury, I'm going to be DRing my major stuns or my warrior stuns, and that's really only going to be more harmful, whereas having the extra CC so I could get a triple Howl or kill a Shaman's Tremor Totem and then get him half feared instead of him just being able to avoid all my fears shortly. I think that's going to be much better in the long run. I don't really like running a Mortal Coil in this because I feel like it's not up often enough, meaning that most of the time it's really difficult to get casts off with it, whereas with the Howl of Terror, for instance, you could put a Blood Fear on the healer and then Howl the melee off you, or you can use Howl of Terror to peel for your teammates, whereas I find that much harder to do with Coil because it can only target one target and it's only for 3 seconds. However, if you're playing 2v2, I actually think Mortal Coil is going to be the best one, because whether you're playing healer DPS or double DPS as a Warlock, it actually allows you to get a kill. So if you're playing with a Druid, for instance, you can get a full fear out, so the target's out in the open, cast on them, get your full dots out, your Druid can then bash off, you can then blanket silence, and then you've got your Coil as well. So for 2v2 I'd definitely say Mortal Coil is better, but for 3v3 I'd say Howl of Terror. That being said, this is for Affliction, and if we were talking about for Destruction here, I'd probably run with Shadow Fury, but I'll save that for another video. Also, if I was playing a comp such as Shadowplay, I would also run with Shadow Fury because you have no stun there, your Priest's already bringing Psychic Horror, which is on the same DR as Mortal Coil, and your Priest also bringing a Fear and most likely a Psyfiend, so that along with your Fear kind of makes Howl of Terror redundant. You're never going to need to get that Fear, or you're going to need to get that Fear in very few situations, making it not worth taking the talent, and Shadow Fury is pretty much always going to be better because your Fear is always going to be DR'd, whereas your Shadow Fury will only DR with your healer's stun if they bring one. So overall I'd say that talent's much more consistent in Shadowplay. Now for the next tier of talents, you have a choice between Soul Link, Sacrificial Pact, and Dark Bargain. Soul Link's a bit different to how it was in previous expansions, and now it has a 10-second cooldown, and when active, all damage and healing you and your pet take is shared, but your demon's health is reduced by 50%, but this actually does replace the spell health funnel. I don't really like this talent too much because I feel the pet doesn't have enough health with it. I mean, it only has around 108,000 in full gear, so that's not really a lot, and if the damage you're taking is shared, and comp such as KFC, for instance, bursts you while your healer's in a CC, and you're unable to get a new pet up, maybe it will have a cooldown, or maybe you're silenced or stunned, then that's going to leave you too far behind. I'm also not a fan of Sacrificial Pact, really, because a shield isn't always good enough, really. And, I mean, teams can break through shields really quickly. I mean, the burst comps, such as KFC, again, I'm always going to use that example because of how popular it is on the ladders at the moment. Comps such as that, I mean, they just have so much burst that a 200k shield is next to nothing for them, especially when the Hunter's playing BM and has his Stampede up. So, I really think that talent is quite redundant against those, because you can only do it once every minute, whereas Dark Bargain absorbs all damage for 8 seconds, and then you take 50% of the damage as a dot over 8 seconds. So while that does, I mean, I've had that tick and kill me in several games, but it saved me a lot more than I think a Sacrificial Pact or a Soul Link would have, purely because it actually prevents the damage while my healer's CC'd. So after that, my healer can just, you know, get full hots on me, because I play with a druid generally. They can get full hots on me and then spam regrowths into me, and they're able to just try and keep me up a lot more, but they know they're going to need to do the burst healing, and it's when their team doesn't have any CC on them. So I really feel this spell is useful for kind of counteracting the burst of a comp during CC, whereas the other talents, you know, they don't really do that too well, because if your healer's CC'd, your pets are just going to die anyway, even taking 50% of the damage. And if your pets are going to go down, it's quite likely that the team's doing enough damage that when you then take 100% damage, you're going to go down as well. That's going to be it for these 3 talent choices. I'll cover the rest at a later date, but if you'd like to see them now, or would like more in-depth thoughts of them, check out Next Level PvP, where I actually have guides at the moment posted on my thoughts on the talent choices for each tier, and it's a lot more in-depth than this video is. But thanks for watching. If you have any feedback, please leave them in the comments below. Thanks.